Well, hello everyone. This is not our usual theme music, and Andy introducing me that we normally do as we start the off night here every Monday night at 8. But today's bit of a sad and special show. Sam Greenfield passed away this last week, and not a little more than 2 days after our Monday night show ended at 9 o'clock. By Wednesday night, he was in the emergency room, and he didn't make it until sunup Thursday morning. We of course, are devastated by this. We started this show back in 2000. He joined us in episode 15 or 16, somewhere around there in July. And he basically energized the show so much that the host at that time, it was me and I can never remember names. Anyway, the hosts that were with us at the time, and had him back in a couple weeks. He did the same thing, galvanized the show, and we just made him a regular after that. He had some health issues. He had been in the hospital since Christmas. In March, around March 13th, I know it's March 13th because it's the same day as his daughter's birthday, and he was excited to be getting out. He went home and didn't last a day, could not hold himself. Went back in the hospital, was now back in rehab the last 2 or 3 weeks, and was getting better. And according to his wife, Barbara, this was not related to the cancer that he still has, but had really beaten. He had myeloma, and they thought he had pneumonia, but she says after he had passed, they discovered it was COVID, which acts a lot like pneumonia as far as your breathing goes. But he was so energetic on Monday night as we closed the show, and it's just hard to believe that his body was weak, but his mind and his wit was sharp till the end. He spoke very loudly and clearly. Not somebody that we thought would be gone by now. Anyway, so I think this whole show will be dedicated to Sam. So we're going to get started the way we normally do, and then Andy will introduce me, and we'll be on our way. Just wanted to start off a little bit more somber than we usually do.
Welcome to the off night. We have, of course, we have a very somber but hopefully humorous week for Sam on our show today. Please welcome your host and MC, Mr. Mark Sweetman.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Andy. It's good to be here on a Monday night at 8 o'clock, as we have been since April 1st of 2020. How about that? Episode 261. And let me see if I can get all these things in here that I need. Oh, yeah, all my banners. Here we go. Episode 261. Hey, how about that? I've been doing a few things because I do have a clip of Sam that I want to close the show out with, and I hope I'm able to do that. I tested it. I did a fake. Hey, let me get Andy back out here. I'm sorry. There we go. There he is. Okay. I did a fake show earlier that I didn't put live just to try to do it, and it worked. I'm still not comfortable with the tech stuff, but I think we'll be able to show it and everybody will get to see it. It was basically his last public joke. Unless he did a show on Tuesday night that I don't know about, but I haven't heard. Anyway, this is our 261st episode. This is our page, youtube.com/@theoffnight. Go ahead and you can like this video, whether you're on your TV or your laptop or your phone. Somewhere on there, there's a like button. I know where it is on my TV. I know where it is on my laptop. I have no idea where it is on my phone. I don't watch enough YouTube on my phone to know where that is. And you can also subscribe. There's a subscribe button in all those products. And we'd like you to subscribe. That helps our numbers, helps us to get out there in the search logs for people looking for old comics. Shooting the shit, basically, is what we are. Right, Andy?
Well, yeah. Well, speak of yourself. I am still under the Social Security age, so I'm a young man. Okay.
Now, wait a minute. You're old enough to collect. You're just not old enough to collect the maximum.
I'm under the Medicare age. I'm a year away from Medicare, so that means I'm still young.
You're away from so you're at Social Security. You're at Social Security. You're just not at Medicaid yet. I get it.
I can if I wanted to collect half the Social Security I deserve. You know what I'm saying?
That's what.
Yeah.
Well, if you can still work, that'll work. All right. And let me see here. I also want to get out. Oh, it's close to the other address. It's just you take that old address for you where I showed you how to subscribe and hit the like. Here, at the end of this, there's a /streams. That's where all our episodes are. The first one up there will be the one that says 5525, which is the one you're watching now. And you'll see that actually moving on the screen. But there'll be some stills next to it, and those are past episodes. And there's like 2 or 3 on the screen, and then you can scroll down, you can open up the screen, and you can see everything that we've done here. I think we moved from Facebook to YouTube in 2022. Yeah, 2022. We had started this a long time ago on Facebook, but we discovered that people that want to do streaming and monetize it and become an influencer, Facebook just takes all your content and doesn't give you anything back for it. So we moved over to YouTube, and we can link it over to. For a while, we linked it over to Facebook, and now we just do it on YouTube, and we're trying to build followers that way. Does it say here how many followers I have? No, I'm not on the page. I'm on StreamYard. StreamYard is the program that we use to link up to Facebook, and that's what we use for our camera links. And I've got a control pad and everything. A lot of boring stuff. That's why it says under my here. Let me get that out of here. Look at this. Right there. Mark Sweetman, host and unqualified tech advisor. All right. And then if you'd like to join us on this show, now this changes every week. Those other ones I showed you, those are always the same. Those YouTube at the off night. This right here, the StreamYard.com/9PHRYDIEZV. That is a different code every week. And that is the code we use for the show that you're watching right now. If you have a laptop or a computer or a phone that has both a phone and a mic, go ahead and get that. You'll show up. Make sure your face is on whatever you show up in. And I'll see you on my dashboard here. And if it's somebody that we know, or if you can convince me to put you on the show, we'll get you on here with the other guys talking stuff. We talk about less about comedy anymore, more about current events and things like that. And what else we got here? Oh, and that's it. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I just accidentally hit the weekly news poem by Susan Sweetman, so I guess it's time to bring Susan out. We can do that.
Oh yeah, yes.
We always start out this way, and we add Susan to the mix. There she is.
Hi. Yeah, bring me out by accident. That's good.
Well, again, I forgot that I had made this little thing for you, and so I accidentally hit it trying to turn the other one off. I turned that one.
Thank you. I think you left it up quite a long time last week.
I probably did.
That's fine.
Anyway, are you ready to give us your poem?
I am, but I wanted to start with a little music in tribute.
All right. Well, we're gonna view the stage here, and then we'll come back when you're done with your poem. All right. Here's Susan Sweetman.
Your poem this week. Welcome spring. Cinco de Mayo is well underway. Normally we would celebrate, but we're so sad today. Tonight, the headline we share from the news, we celebrate a life and our hearts sing the blues. Sam was just on the off night 1 week ago. From his hospital room, he brought jokes to this show. Our beloved contributor, Sam Greenfield, has gone to the great comedy room in the great beyond. Dear Sammy, you've moved up to the great pearly gates, and you're funny enough to take St. Peter's place. Comedian and actor and radio show host, Sammy brought us laughter when we needed it most. To Sammy, our beloved contributor and friend, we know you're still with us, and this is not the end. Sam Greenfield, we're glad that we all got to know you, a friend and a colleague, and he'd say also a Jew. The off night will never quite again be quite the same. We're all a bit numb, and we're feeling the pain. So lift up your glass and make one final toast to Sam Greenfield, the very best off-night host.
Oh, thank you. And I know Sam would have loved that. I remember when you first did the poem, he was so enthusiastic about you doing that we included that as a feature each week. So he was always complimentary. And these guys don't know it because Sam would call Susan and I during the week quite a bit. And he would often tell her that too on the phone, on the private phone calls, not just in public. So he was a big Susan poetry fan. All right, let's stop talking here without Jason. Let's get Jason out here so that we're all together. Oh my goodness, what happened?
Hi,
like
Jason.
You look like you're wearing. You look like an Ottoman Turk's turban there or something. We just need to see the pointy.
With a thermonuclear halo, yeah. Thank you for the poem, Susan.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
One did have to enjoy both the sort of dueling Deus Ex Machinas, plural, of both you and Sam descending into the scene, throwing lightning bolts and all manner and sorts of corrections, adjustments, and witticisms all at the same time. It was certainly an interesting way to start the show. We're going to miss him. We still have.
Well, if I can just channel Sam for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he would have said. I'm sure he would have said a flute version of Amazing Grace. Well, thankfully, it wasn't bagpipes. You know.
Yes.
Well, again,
I don't play the bagpipes, or I would possibly have played them for you tonight. But no, I am.
I just
was he also Scottish? I don't know.
Well.
No, he was Greenfield,
and I know you're gonna love him.
Oh, what was that?
What are you playing?
That's not me.
That's not me.
Little Sam.
Oh, it's that old 39-year-old clip of Sam.
Nice to be here in Brookline.
Now I met him. I'd actually met him about a month after that.
Nice
we worked together on a Tom Sobel gig. That's actually not one of my favorite clips of his. He's got some. He was too nice back then. He got a little bit harder edged as he got older and further into the business. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mark and I got to spend time with him when we were in New York in November of 2022, and he took us around, and we did an off-Broadway play with him and Barbara, and the day we were leaving, we went to a restaurant and he had sandwiches, but he sat down and saved us seats, and we come back and he's entertaining everybody around us. He was just that charismatic. He had everybody in this little restaurant laughing. It was just like a deli, actually. with a little seating area, and everybody was
And that one couple,
enthralled
do you remember
with
that one?
Sam.
Yeah, that one couple was from Toronto, and he's giving them, by the time they left now, this is just him sitting there, and we're going to get the sandwiches. By the time we get back, he's got, they actually had a semicircle around him. He's against the wall. It's a small deli. He's against the
This
wall,
is
and they kind of like
absolutely
circled
true.
they've circled their chairs around, so he's holding court there. And by the end, this couple from Toronto had actually joined his TikTok group, his TikTok page, his Instagram page, all of his social media, because they wanted to stay in touch with him. I thought, oh man, that's how you build a page up. And I'm going, hey, the off night. Get the off night. Get him on the off night.
He was just naturally charming and charismatic, and he is missed.
And do you remember when you and then there was that time when we were trying to get away from the theater to go back, and you somehow I slipped in on your token card on the subway. And so yours wouldn't go through or something. I can't remember exactly what happened.
Yeah, Mark was going through, and he scanned his card, and then I scanned mine behind him, but apparently his didn't work and mine did, and he went through on mine, and then they all head down, and Barbara got on whatever subway she got on, and I'm like hollering, Mark.
Yeah, and then I called down to Sam, and Sam is like, well, one, he's small anyway, but in a crowded subway station, he's like, he was like, I don't know he was like one of those motorized mouse cars,
Anyways,
in between all these people.
He waited for us. Mark came back, used his card and swiped me in, and then we were on our way with Sam. And
well, you certainly cannot deny the man's charisma. I point to a conversation that we had just a couple of weeks ago where, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit, he referred to me as a filthy Republican fellatio enthusiast. He didn't use those exact words, but it was something that meant
right.
that. But then he did say, but when I say it to you, Jason, I mean it in the nicest possible way. And you knew he meant it. You could feel that. I mean, that's that's what we loved about him.
He did make his enemies, but he certainly was didn't back down from it. He always he would own up to stuff like that. He wasn't,
Well, he and I were not enemies by any stretch.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about there's other people that just didn't want to have anything to do with him. But he decided that's not trying to be everybody's friend isn't gonna work. So,
well, he had that same sort of sense actually that Groucho Marx. And again, I didn't know Groucho Marx, but I am told that you knew Groucho liked you if he insulted you. If he was right. being nice to you, yeah, you better watch your step. But if he was just throwing any sort of little barb your way, well, then you were okay with him. Because I mean and Sam was built. He cut from a similar cloth, shall we say? And one can only hope that now that he's gone to the great beyond, I'm certain that he's in a club that has good air conditioning and hopefully coffee cake and a few other amenities waiting for his arrival.
And they don't have the drinks mixing machine, the loud drink mixing machine near the stage.
No blenders, no blenders.
That you don't hear the blender. You don't hear the blender grinding.
You don't hear the margarita machine going off in the background.
Oh.
Hey, Andy was
not in heaven. In heaven,
yeah. Just say Andy was playing that clip, from Sam from way back in the '80s, and again, not to go living in the past, but what the hell? We were alive for most of it. Why not? But again, you guys remember when there was that time when all you really needed was like a camera that you could buy at a Best Buy, a microphone, and suddenly you had a cable TV show with comedian. I mean, this was the time when you and Sam would have, sort of been ruling the earth at that point in time because,
Well, Sam, that clip was from January '86, and he and I worked together for the first time. It was either February or March of '86, so I knew that's what he looked like when I met him.
Right.
And there was one occasion where we were playing in a town. The three of us were playing in 3 different clubs. That's how big comedy was. We were in like Columbus, Ohio, and there were 3 clubs in Columbus. So comedy was big. And he was at one club, I was at another, and James Wesley Jackson. Do you remember him, Andy? He's still alive. I don't think he's doing comedy.
What was his bit? What was his bit?
Loose booty, loose butt, loose booty, loose butt. He was the environ medium, median. He sat down. He did sit down comedy. He sat on the stool all the time. Long beard. He was gray in his 30s. I mean, he wasn't that old, but he looked older. Black man from Chicago. Okay. From Chicago. Anyway, the 3 of us found a basketball court, and the 3 of us played basketball, but we didn't look like we played basketball. Sam's, like about 5'2", and James, had the long beard like he was a sage or something. And we went to this, when we found out we could all play, we started doing pickup games. We said, no, we're going together. So we went to these basketball courts around Columbus and started taking on all takers. And we did a pretty good job at 3-on-3. Of course, I was like in my 20s back then, so it was a lot. I still play now in my 60s, but I wouldn't be playing kids today. I got to play guys in my 60s. I got to play in the senior leagues. So.
All takers.
But he was always, and he loved to talk about, Andy loved to talk about sports.
Sam loved to talk about sports?
He loved to talk about sports. He loved all of his Washington teams. Even though, they didn't have a hockey team when he moved from New York. He went from, D.C. He went from D.C. to Boston. And he was in Boston when we were there, Susan, that one time in '84. But we never ran into him. He was probably on the road that week we were there, but he lived in Boston at that time. And then he moved to New York about the same time we were moving to LA in fall of '87. And we would run into each other, all the time. When I was working for Sobel and Yoder and all those guys, when I came back to the Midwest, I'd usually run into them. And like I said, even if we didn't work in the same club, there were so many of these towns we worked in that had more than one club. Madison had 2 clubs. These aren't big towns. Mm-hmm. And of course they weren't paying us big money, so they could afford, when you're paying your headliner $1,200, you can afford more than one club in town. So it didn't take that much. I mean, there's, it's not like a lot of times, these booking agents would book us for one-nighters along the way too. So we'd do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in a different college town. Stevens Point, Wisconsin, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Madison for the rest of the week, or Milwaukee, whatever it was. Green Bay, I played in Green Bay. And this is where, we'd all run into each other. And so that's how you develop these friendships, even though Sam and I didn't see each other for about 20 years in person. Once Facebook came along, we kind of connected with everybody else. We all,
It's funny that we kind of had parallel lives. We were adopting a kid about the same time they were adopting kids.
Yeah. And not so coincidentally, a black girl, and we have 3 black girls.
Yeah, but you guys would have been wild with it. I mean, you really grabbed it with both hands. I mean.
Well, a lot of
we didn't go wild. They're all biological siblings that we adopted. We just, decided to try and keep a family together. And to be
keep
truthful,
a family together.
Our 5 are 5 siblings of 11 natural siblings. So we only adopted 5. If you want to look at it like that, we did not adopt 11 children.
So if Sam were here, he'd be screaming something about half-stepping at this point, right? I mean.
Maybe. Anyhow, I've shared my Sam story, and I'm gonna say goodnight and go be sad.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you for your poem and
you're welcome.
And your musical selection. We do appreciate.
Very nice.
We have about a year for her to learn bagpipes, so that when they do go to reveal his headstone, we have Susan there to play the bagpipes and serenade us. And Oh, goodness.
I thought my flute would be a better tribute than my piccolo. So,
Wow.
There's that.
and
That's for sure.
I think Sam is nodding in appreciation.
I have no doubt. I have no doubt at all. You know, Mark, you mentioned about how he loved to talk about sports and whatnot, and I can remember a show, I can't remember, a year or so ago, and I asked him about back in the day when you had Jewish athletes who were playing basketball and
The NBA,
and
I mean,
yeah.
I think it became, when I was talking about, my dad would always joke
Yeah.
that he was so old he remembered when all the stars in the NBA were Jewish. So
Yeah, and the thing is, just Sam's like, oh, I can't remember any of that, and then goes on a 25-minute diatribe, diagramming and explaining the history of big tough Jewish guys playing basketball.
Right.
in the it's like, yeah, typical Sam. Yeah, go sit there and I don't know, but 25 minutes later, you better hold on because you're about to get a college level lecture from a guy who can remember it because he was there for a lot of it. And
right.
how old was Sam?
Let's see. I think he was 12 or 13 years older than I am. So he would have been born in
And
like,
you're what, 47, right?
No, I think he was born in 47 or 40.
No, I said you're
47 or 48. He was.
I said, yeah, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm 65. So he was.
Yeah, I said
he
you're
was,
47.
I can't remember if he was 77 or 78 on his last birthday. We have birthdays that he's birthday's January 2nd. Mine's January 11th. So
Nice.
I think it'd be easy to remember how many years different we are. But
Yeah.
he didn't act like he was that much older than me. Yeah, he was always spry and young.
Yeah, and even the last few months, which, let's face it, weren't easy. We could all see that this was a trial, and yet he was not he was not going to let it get him down. He made a point to be here. He could have made every excuse in the world.
Yeah, and you know what? The part that was uncomfortable for him, he kept below the waist. Everything, I mean, below the neck. Everything from here up was top drawer. I mean, he was on top of everything. He knew everything that was going on around him. He complained about his roommates, which I love.
Absolutely, I love it. Yes,
I love
that.
It was funny too when he knew when he could be loud about it, and he knew when to be very quiet about it. That was just very entertaining.
But he wasn't going to be intimidated in any way, shape, or form, and whatnot. And again, Mark, I have to congratulate you, because it would have been easy to say, listen, Sam, why don't you take a little time? And you didn't go that route. You went the exact opposite, and you gave him this wonderful form, which you knew he looked forward to. This was something that was really a highlight, and I appreciate it. I'm sure he did too, because again, look, none of us are young men here. We all know what it is to have older parents and siblings, and it's not easy. It's only going in one direction for any of us. I'm German, so I'm going to turn this into my death speech, because that's what Germans do. But yet, you threw him this lifeline, and I think it was something that he held on to, and was important to him, and all the way to the end, all the way up to the effing end. And hats off, congratulations, thank you. That's all I can really say.
Yeah, and before you joined us, Jason, and maybe before even Andy did, he used to drag his friends with him to the show too, where we have, you know what I mean, some of these guys that he worked with. He talks about Law and Order. Like, he had Frank Santorelli, and he had I'm trying to think of he had these actors and actresses that kind of helped the show a little bit. When we used to get audience.
Well, we can work on that.
It was Barbara was telling, his wife was telling me, not but through chat, she was telling me that he really looked forward to this every week. It was like one of the highlights of his week.
Do you suppose there's a chance we could have her on, or is there an interview maybe you'd like to record? I'm talking right now. We'll see. Because it would be fun to have her. Because Barbara was much like Phyllis Diller with her husband. It's just they sort of off camera, and
Barbara Singer Barbara Singer, his bride, she was a comic.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of got a little boost when she met Sam because she would, he was sort of at the, I guess they've been married now. Their daughter's 26, 27, 26. Yeah, she's 26. And so, born in, and they moved back to New York just after the turn of the century, right before 9/11. They had moved back from New York from Las Vegas. And so he was introducing himself back to the New York crowds that he hadn't worked at in years, Right. And she met him, and she was starting out, and so she kind of hooked her star to him. And she says that it was just, it was great being with him because everybody had so much respect for him that it gave her some carte blanche too.
Yeah. Well, and again, you're right. His spirit, his intellect was never dulled, never.
And you've heard him talk about how he's wanted her to get back into it.
Yep.
She's making six figures though now, so it's kind of hard to go back to the open mics and the pays and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Work for $50 a night if you're lucky, kind of thing, and
6 figures.
Well, I just thinking about back when you guys were doing the clubs and whatnot, when the term canceled applied only to bad TV shows, and right. Nowadays there are so many cultural minefields that are just laid out in front of a person. Heaven forbid you should say this, that, or the other thing, and now you find yourself a pariah, which some people can rise above, but other people, sadly, they kind of get dogpiled, and that's that, and it's a shame that we live in these times. We came up through a time when comedy, as again, you guys remember, I don't need to lecture, but I will just a little bit, when you had people like Pryor, Dick Gregory, George Carlin, these folks who were really out there, who were changing things in a time that was culturally changing, and taught even older comedians like Moms Mabley, but people who taught us to laugh at ourselves and the things that were not so funny, but yet they were able to sort of turn it around, hold a mirror up to it, and say, "Isn't this really absurd?" And you had to look at it and go, "Yeah, it kind of is." And I think Sam it's harder to do now.
And Sam never worried. You notice how Sam would say things that would come, and he did filter a little bit.
Not much. I don't know.
But not really that much. I mean, it was his filter was, is it funny? Is it funny? Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah.
And so let it fly out, and let's we'll deal with whatever the repercussions are.
Right.
From somebody being offended by it after we get the laughs.
Right.
And you don't hear that anymore, because it used to be back. We're talking about the 80s when Sam and I were starting out, and it used to be that you'd hear comics go, "Oh, you laughed first." Like if somebody moaned at a joke, you go, no, you laughed first. It was funny,
Yeah. How is it we introduced all this modern technology just to be ice skating on eggshells all the time? I don't get. Maybe I'm just old, but I remember us being tougher.
I guess I saw this happening probably around 2011, 2012, about the time we started the Unclub. And the Unclub was sort of the oasis from all of that stuff that was happening, and we were able to do a lot of the stuff that the clubs were sort of poo-pooing, because I remember at that time when we were still at the Mix down there, I got escorted out the back door at the Comedy Castle because of something I said on stage. Me.
You at the Comedy Castle?
Me.
What was it? What was it you said? What did you say?
Oh, I was doing jokes about our church, and our church had a sister church in Detroit. And every year in the summer, the two pastors would swap pulpits, and the black pastor would preach in our pulpit, and the white pastor, our pastor, would preach in their pulpit. And, it really affected them because I would call down to my friend of mine at the black church to go, how's the Reverend doing? He goes, he's, got some of the side effects of preaching in the white shirt. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, he keeps looking at his watch.
Ah,
What was that?
he keeps looking
He
at
keeps
his
looking
watch.
at his watch. I don't know if you've ever been to a black services. Sometimes they don't end.
No.
And
They-
Oh yeah.
I said, and he says, "Is there any effects on your pastor?" I go, "Well, he's wearing a purple robe now and thinks he can sing." I go, I just saw his wife, he and his wife on a billboard on I-275. So.
So what on earth?
Well, that was just a little bit too much for this crowd
at the
of
Comedy
black guys.
Castle.
Yeah, it was a Christmas show, and they just thought they were going to get me.
Well, I remember
Wow.
you'd made some kind of a fat joke about a comedian who's fat, and someone got all upset with you, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm over 300 pounds. I'm going out, and it's not 300 pounds of muscle like I'm playing linebacker for the Lions. I'm a fat German. I should be pulling a plow somewhere. There's a group of cannibals somewhere willing to send me a one-way ticket to their big yearly festival. I mean, so if you're going to be up there, you're going to have to be ready to take a few barbs. They're going to come your way. Mm-hmm. And half the fun is that you can take them and walk away with it and go, yeah, no big deal. I took your best shot.
What it said to me? I was born at the right time. That's all it said to me. Because I got to go out there, make the money, put enough away for retirement, send my kids to school, buy a house or two, and never work a day in my life.
A comedy compound,
Exactly. I mean, a comedy compound. It's kind of like it feels like a comedy compound in here.
Oh dear!
I mean, we had 8 kids. We had 8 kids, and we had enough room. Although we do have 2 bedrooms in the basement. We do have 2 bedrooms in the basement.
Do I mention that in the basement you also had a baseball factory and a couple of other looms and whatnot, and had the children tied to their workstations for 12 to 8 hours a day? Or is that something you want to keep under?
Though? We do. The guy we bought the house from had a lathe in the basement, so we do have a huge power supply in the basement. We don't use it. We turned that electrical box off because I didn't even want the leakage of it.
Do you ever remind your children of that? That
we had a lathe in the basement.
Kids, we have the facilities downstairs. No one's going to ask any questions, and I got to tell you, cable ain't free. So
yeah, exactly. Oh no, my kids pay. We don't call it rent. What do we call it? Pitching
Tribute?
in. They pitch. Yeah, tribute. Yeah, tributes. Yeah, they pitch in.
Yeah, But
because we say if you're not going to pitch in, you can go out and find your own place. And then they look at rents today, and they go, "Oh, well, we'll pitch in at home."
Yeah. About to say, I grew up with parents probably similar to yours. We would beg our father for a television with a remote control, and he'd say, "Why? I got 3 remote controls." And just look at his kids. We'd beg for a dishwasher. He goes, "Why? I got 3 dishwashers."
3 dishwashers. Did you ever have to hold the? Did you ever have to stand by the TV and hold the antenna and go, move it right, and then stop right there? And then you had to
ever try and see a blacked out Lions game and you want to pick up the station from Flint? Yeah, the littlest kid's going to be up there with the rabbit ears next to the window. Oh yeah, and he had to because that was the only way we're going to see the game because the NFL was blacking the game out. You also have
to wear the aluminum foil on your head too.
Yeah, sweetheart, bring in the Reynolds wrap. We need to wrap this kid up.
By the way, I have found out that the aluminum foil does not stop the aliens or the government from controlling me. And I think of all the years and all the rolls of foil that I have purchased to line the windows and my hats with, I'm going to sue Big Aluminum because clearly I have been hornswoggled. I have been swindled.
Did you ever see Better Call Saul, the series?
Yeah.
I only saw a little bit of it.
You're talking about the brother?
The brother, yeah. Charles.
Yeah,
the brother
brilliant character. Wonderful character.
Isn't that a great character?
How many of you had parents who did this? We begged our parents for like a couple window shaker air conditioners because remember, we grew up in one of those houses built in the early 60s that didn't have the tall ceiling. So perfect hot box. August came along. That's the same time my mom's doing the canning of all the stuff we'd grown in the garden. That was back when the garden was out back, not the garden I keep in the basement, different garden. and we would beg for a window shaker, and they're like, "No, what do you think? We're made of money. You think you can just?" And as soon as we move out, what do? Central air. They get central air. They get They get a dishwasher. They get a brand new TV. And I'm just looking, and they just give me a look like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do about it? You damn right. It's exactly what we did. And you know what? We'll do it again."
They had a garden for show and a garden for blow. There you go.
Exactly. I mean, and to be fair, my mother was able to raise 3 teenage boys without killing a one of us. She threatened to, with great regularity. We would come home and see
my
the
mom.
chalk
My
outline.
mom raised 4 boys.
And she didn't. And she didn't have to threaten to put any of you into the ground and make another one, give them your clothes, and say you won't even be missed.
Well, if you have a big family, they raise the first 3, and then the first 3 raise you. You know. I gotta tell you, a teenager is not the best.
Oh, Mark, you're freezing up. Mark's frozen. Someone has used their power of their mind to freeze Mark. Let's.
Am I back yet?
There you are. You're back. There you go.
I was just going to say that our first handed down the edicts to the younger children. We put enough fear in them that they could scare the others and as evil.
Well, that's the.
Actually, I think we're much softer than our parents were.
Oh God, yes.
I think. Did we lose Andy?
No, Andy's still here. You're here. We're all here.
Oh, okay. There is. Okay, there is.
I just added in 1 or 2 words. You know, I'm just throwing one little line in there. You know,
there you go.
I think Sam on Tuesday actually, had a Latin show. He spoke in Spanish. I think you're correct, but he had an audience in Spain, so it's like,
Actually, he would be talking about the club that he played in Spain once and going home with the daughter of the Spanish owner and ending up in a bullfighting match that
it's all in subtitles. There we go.
That didn't match his mouth and his words.
Exactly. Yes. You see him mouthing the F word, but the underlying word is like, free.
We had his version of a Woody Allen film somehow or another.
Exactly.
Everything we did with Sam though was under the presumption that we'd still have him here.
Well, some people seem maternal.
I know, and he, you know what, because we always talked to his relatives when we were starting here. Most of his relatives were still alive. I think he had 1 sibling dead, but he lost 3 siblings in the 4.5 years we were doing this.
And this would be the point where he'd say, "Why were they watching the show? Is that what?"
I think that might be the issue. We may be worse than the vice president. I don't know.
And
what did the vice president do lately? I've been devoid of the.
He visited the Pope, and within 12 hours, the Pope was dead.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe
Vance put him in a trance, and then he
look at that. At least we got a well out of Jason.
Well, I was gonna protest, but then I remember John Paul I. It's like, oh, the bank. What's going on here? We should
investigate this bank. Yeah, we should look into this.
And the next morning, he's had a couple of those magic cannolis from Godfather 3, so he's found slumped over in the chair and. Need a new pope. What do you know?
I mean, I
leave the rosary. Leave the rosary. Take the cannoli.
There you go. Yeah. The Pope mobile is driving off somewhere with nobody behind it.
Exactly. The little mousies.
Have you seen the Contenders?
I got
a contender that I want to have right away. I think this was the guy that should be it. He has pizza in his name.
Yes, I've heard of that guy.
So I think he should be it. We have, have pizza for our Pope. The pizza Pope. My gosh.
Well, he's gonna take another name, but we're gonna get. I got Facebook here, or not Facebook. Right. I've got Audrey. What's her name? Who's the girl that talks to you? And I don't know.
The princess of evil.
The Pope with pizza in his name.
Alexa.
Pier Battista Pizzaballa.
Pizza
Pizza
Bala.
Bala.
That's my choice right there. Pizza Bala. Hey.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see.
Now, normally we say only can Catholic accept the communion, but today is peppers and pepperoni, so everybody welcome, folks. Pepperoni.
We don't
Bro.
do Hawaiian. No Hawaiian.
Yeah,
Only pepperoni.
no, there are some
no
sacrileges.
No anchovies. No
No
Hawaiian.
anchovies, please. Yes.
No fruits on a pizza. No. Okay.
No, you don't put anyone who puts pineapple on a pizza is, of course, consigned to hell, where you're going to be in the Satan room. You know.
All right. What about peaches? Are you okay with peaches on a pizza?
No.
How
If you
about
want
apple?
peaches on,
I'm trying to think of the fruit that I'm
No.
trying to think of the fruit I've seen on pizza.
There's a pizza place that's kind of a chain. It's called Pizza Cat, and they have the wildest variety of pizzas ever. They have a pizza that has a curry. It has a curry flavoring on it. Curry with cheese.
Yeah.
They also have a.
Hold on, I have to spew vomit across the room. If you guys will just explode.
They also have a Reuben pizza too. You know.
Oh no, that sounds decent.
Reuben pizza sounds like a lawyer. He sounds like a Jewish Italian lawyer.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
If you get two of them, it's Reuben. You know, there we go. You know, I want to see my lawyer.
And now, does the Reuben pizza have corned beef and sauerkraut?
They did, yeah.
And,
I don't know,
the
but-
Russian dressing sauce?
But he'll definitely defend you if your place caught fire under suspicious conditions. You know.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
A little bit of the flavoring from the sauce. Pretty good. Very
As long as
good.
we're talking about odd foods, I brought this with me. Tonight.
You brought
Let me
the
get- let me get
Funyuns
the-
in.
Look, it's flaming hot Funyuns.
Flaming
Well,
hot
I'm
onion.
familiar with the flaming portion, but never
I
mind
got that from.
Um,
I went and got a box of what do you call it? Over surplus food
Mhm.
from Forgotten Harvest. Not that we really need it, but somebody's got to eat it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I never expected flaming hot Funyuns. So
No one expects flaming hot Funyuns.
I'm not sure you can put that Funyun into the actual flaming hot. I'm not sure if those two actually go together, but
that's what I was thinking. Now, flaming hot Cheetos just makes sense. My
Yeah.
kids love those. My kids love those things. In fact, what's the one flavor they have? Flaming hot, and then they have.
Well, I don't know about your kids, but that's my new grinder handle. There's no doubt about that. I'm going
What's
to go
that?
flaming
hot
flaming hot Cheeto. Yeah, we're definitely
Oh,
going.
flaming hot Cheeto. Okay.
Come on, because that's right. I'm the bag. Open me. Yeah, that's it. Never
Also,
mind.
Susan had a ton of lines for this thing.
Oh yeah.
This what looks like it was a weather map from the 7 a.m. this morning of the United States that looks like a mammogram. Look at that.
Yeah. Hugh Hefner's wedding map right there. You know?
There you go. Let me see if I can find all the lines that I'm going to give you the lines that she had for this thing because they're hilarious.
And
I
again,
thought you got to give her credit though because I thought she was going to stay on here to use them, but she didn't, so I'll use them.
wow.
Here we go. Oh, I got to scroll past. She did this before the Sam poem. Wow.
Wow.
Okay, here we go. Please be abreast of the weather situation. We need our country needs to nurse these weather wounds. That's why they call it Mother Nature. You should milk this photo for a lot of jokes tonight on the off night, she says. What else we got here? This weather. Oh, here we go. I got to show it on this one. This weather pattern is utter nonsense. These are all Susan. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah, of course.
It's a dairy tale come true.
Well, I just hope you're.
The USA is thirsty for knowledge. America is getting pumped.
Oh, that could mean so many things. But never mind. Go on.
Latch on to this weather. The breast is yet to come.
Indeed, indeed.
This weather is not a letdown.
Listens
then
to
she
Fort.
went. Then she went on to the Sam Greenfield poetry. So, she write, and she's doing this while she's doing her legal work too. I mean, this is just the crap she does, when she's waiting for phone calls and stuff.
Doodles.
Very talented girl.
Yeah, indeed. You married well.
Oh yeah.
So consider yourself a winner. Whereas I, who managed to get through this whole life being married to, no one, plan to spend the last few years alive, like, I don't know, in a cardboard box near a dumpster, somewhere where I can get free cable or free internet from a bookshop and whatnot. So there you go. I'm sorry, I'm getting all kinds of pings and notifications from people who know that I'm doing the podcast this time of day. And it's like, you guys know I'm doing this, right?
Why don't they join? And tell them, give them the link.
Show.
Here, let me put the link back on the page here. Here we go.
Just once, I would just love to say.
There's the link right there. Give them the link and have them join us. Then they can put all their comments on the screen.
Which is fine with me. It's just like, for irritating me, I just want to cast them into the lake of fire. But I mean, that's just me, and I
would much rather this be a show of people typing in YouTube comments and we comment on them. I think it would be a much better show.
I think we can finally maybe get that set up, and at the same time, and I know here this is when people are absolutely scintillating to hear, but we can also work out some sort of a tipping procedure, either through PayPal or buy a cup of coffee, Patreon, ways that we could monetize this bad boy, maybe buy a camera or two. Just saying.
That'd be great.
And well, of course, and again, here we are all having a discussion like the Who shortly after Keith Moon bites the dust. Thinking, well,
are you seeing we can't keep our own beat without Sam?
Well, he was a wild man. We need to come up with something, and what's out there. I mean,
he did. I enjoyed his contributions, but he often did send us off in different directions than where we were headed.
As did Keith Moon. So again,
that's true. That's good
similarities.
Keith Moon comparison.
Well, when I'm nestled in the ample bosom of Bert, how can one not be speaking of bosom, yeah.
I'm keeping this one. This is going to be the regular one whenever we need it.
All your hetero alliterations have stirred my loins, and
I don't have the loins part on here.
And just as well that you don't. I mean,
that's down in South America.
Yeah,
South America's kind of got that shape, with the wide hips and
exactly. It's just. I mean, which I guess would make Bolivia sort of an itchy rash that we have a hard time getting rid of. But
yeah, well, it changes my impression of the Andes.
There you go.
The Andes are always aroused.
Well, if only I could make a similar claim at my age.
Come for comedy, come for sports, come for movies, and come for geography jokes.
That's
folks.
right.
That's what we're here for.
That's right.
I see why guys join the weather and they enjoy the weather. Okay,
for the weather.
Oh my God! What have we had to do in life? We're now, someone opens the door improvidently, we have to reach up and turn the screen off. But when you reach my age, it's like, no, at this point in time, I can pretty much project this stuff on the side of the house and smile as the neighbors walk past and shield the eyes of their children. That's time moves on. This is what happens when you're born of hillbilly and German parents. Boundaries were an issue. What can I say? Germans are always fun with boundaries. Just ask Poland. Never mind though. We'll move on.
Invaded Poland? No, he didn't. Yes, you did.
Well, as Dana Gould once mentioned how his mother would describe World War II, because she was a woman who didn't like conflict. She was like, some people had boats and some people had airplanes, and there was a big old kerfuffle, and who knows, it's just, we don't want to go into it and whatnot. And yeah, it's we will certainly miss the contribution. And I think at some point we can go back and look. See, there you go. We got some other contribution. There you go. Dr.
My favorite Dana
Dr.
Gould.
Is that Dr.
Zayas? Dana
Dr.
Gould.
Z.
Yes.
Dr. Zayas. There we
Yeah,
go.
Dana Gould playing Dr. Z.
I am told Dana Gould has an actual Planet of the Apes prosthetic mask. That was he's mentioned it before, that he was giving it to him. I don't know if it was Dr. Zayas or not, but
yeah. Well, this is what he uses for his Dr. Z thing.
Okay, well, that would work. Because Dana is renowned for his devotion.
Interesting that Andy has that ready for him right there.
Yeah, this is a list of, when I go back to LA, I'm going to go through this list that he has here, all the different places. The favorite tiki bar,
yeah,
the Tonga Hut.
Oh.
I guess the favorite gay bar is the Ack Bar.
That one's going to get you in trouble.
Best neighborhood bar hopping, the Frolic Room. It's like, and so the Formosa Cafe. There we go. We went to the Formosa. That was good.
God, the Formosa Cafe. Oh my Lord.
When you lived out in LA? Where did you live, Andy?
Luso's and Frank's.
Where did you live in LA when you lived out there?
I was in two places. I was once I was up in the valley around Ventura and Sherman Oaks.
Okay.
And I was working up at the Kinko's up there. And then I was also working at a Walden Books. And then they transferred me down to I think it was right after the riots.
The Beverly Center, the Beverly Center Walden down there.
Yeah, so I transferred down to the Hollywood.
Okay.
I was living at Aerodrome Street in Hollywood, and I was at the one at the Beverly Center. Walden's at the Beverly Center full time.
Yeah,
and that's where I met most of these celebrities there.
Yeah,
they were right next to that big hotel there, the Soft Hotel. They would come over to.
Right.
I did actually meet, Christopher Walken. He was trying to get to use our bathroom. It's like,
how about that?
I don't know. Could I? I have to go. Could you please? Only, is it all right? It's like,
did you see the Super Bowl ad? I don't think it was this year. I think it was the year before. The Super Bowl ad where everybody's trying to impersonate him in front of him. Did you see that ad?
Yeah.
That was
great.
Did
you see him playing the Emperor in Dune Part 2?
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like,
he's fantastic as it's like, wow, Christopher Walken finally made it to the Emperor of the known universe.
You know what? All right, hold on. I gotta play this clip.
I don't know.
I gotta play this clip. It's time to get out of here. I gotta get this clip of Sammy up here. I said I was gonna do it before the end of the show. Let me get this up here. Mm-hmm. Oh, darn it. My connection isn't fast enough.
Oh, dear.
Hold on. All right. Well, I started 2.5 minutes in, so I think I'll be able to get this. And I don't have any network executives breathing down my back, so I guess I could just do whatever I want here.
You are the network executive.
I am the network executive here. All right. Okay.
Do you ever remind the kids of that? I am a network executive. You people better tremble when I walk in the room.
All righty. So I'm going to, and we're going to close on this. So good night, everybody. We'll see everybody next week.
All right.
We're going to close on this. If I can get it. What am I doing wrong here? I have the YouTube
one on ready if you need it.
Oh, you do have the, no, I'm this is from last week's show. It was his last public joke. You'll remember it from last week. So let me see here. Okay, we got that. How am I going to do it on time? Oh, I think we can fit it in here. Here we go. All right. I hope this works. There it is. It's coming.
Well, in the meantime, I'm going to run back to home base and get a shitload of dimes.
Yes, of course.
Very good. Oh no! God
We have
darn
a
it.
few.
Well,
We have
if
a few minutes past. They
What's
usually
that?
let us go a few minutes. They usually let us go a few minutes past the time.
Yeah, it could happen. Let me see what I got here. Oh shit! All right. I lost everything. I'm either.
All right.
Hold on. Just
here
a second.
we're bleeding over into Pink Lady and Jeff's time slot.
And I know you're gonna love them.
Oh, there we go. Found it.
Andy to the rescue.
Hold on. Found it.
Thanks.
Keep that up while I do this.
Nice to be here in Brookline, gateway to Brighton. Nice to be here because last week I was in Kentucky, so I'm glad to be any place where vowels are used in words. Where hee-haw is on PBS. Kentucky, where Deliverance is a documentary training film. Thank you. I went to the State Fair in Kentucky. You know, they have those rides at all those carnivals and state fairs. Don't those rides, as the French would say, bite the big one? Things to make you think they're safe. Names like Tilt-A-Whirl, Loop-De-Loop, Fun Wheel. How about Regurgitron? Chocolodian, Barfarama, Vomitorium. You know a ride is bad for you when the logo is a rat with a paw down its throat, don't you? And what a good-looking bunch of guys they got running those rides, huh? Yeah, kind of like Dawn of the Dead is missing an actor, so let's put him in charge of your life at 90 miles an hour on condemned rails, yes. It's nice, isn't it, to see a guy with a tattoo that says, born to be unable to read this? That's attractive, isn't it? Guy's got 3 teeth in his head and a Winston cigarette stuck in the gummy wedges. There's a stud for you. Oh, yeah. Date is being recalled, I take it. So you get on this ride, and who sits in front of you and who sits behind you? Kids. Little kids. And what do they, they get on the ride, and what are the 2 things kids...
All right. I can't get it.
Oh, well.
Darn it. I'm such a Luddite. I can't get any of this stuff. All right,
Look,
well,
Mark, at a certain point, we could maybe sit down and go through several shows and really put together a nice
clip.
Sam tribute.
Yeah,
several.
nice.
I mean, because you have a library to choose from.
Yeah, that'd be a fun trip.
Yeah.
Well, one thing Sam said, he liked my stuff, so I'm happy to say
yes, and he encouraged me to get out there, and occasionally I made him laugh, and he certainly made me laugh. Even while calling me a dirty Republican.
The man has stories. The man had many stories. He was
let's just say that if Cardinal Pierta Basta Pizza Bella becomes the Pope, then we know that Sam has been doing his work in the afterlife
for us. Yeah, we'll know he's done his work for us.
We will know he's done his work. Anyway, we've gone 3.5 minutes over. I'm going to cut this off. We'll see everybody next. Oh, and I'll be in LA next Monday, so we'll be broadcasting
from the Comedy Compound West.
From Comedy Compound West, yeah.
Yes,
so
exactly.
So look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. Yep.